Ladies and gentlemen, good day. We are now going to take a look at a short meeting. As you know, you are the training warrant officer at Brigade Headquarters and have been detailed to act as the Secretary for a meeting on training matters which is to be chaired by the Brigade Chief of Staff. Your job now is to take notes during the proceedings of the meeting and afterwards to provide a draft set of minutes for the Chief of Staff to check prior to promulgation. Remember that minutes record decisions taken and, if necessary, further subsequent action either by subunits or by individuals. It is the responsibility of the Secretary to ensure that they provide an accurate record of what was said and what was agreed. Now, on with the meeting.
Right, come on, we all here, Mr. Alexander.
Present, sir.
Good, thank you. Good, gentlemen, if we're all settled down, we'll crack on. The aim of today's meeting is to discuss any changes to the forecast of events, which you all have a copy of, and also to discuss any other related training issues. I've got a couple of points that I want to bring up, and I'm sure you will all have as well. Right, firstly, the forecast of events. Any points from anybody?
Yes, I presume you're aware that the Colonel of the Regiment is coming to see us on the 11th of May.
Right.
This will be quite a party, as there's a coachload of old comrades coming, and the visit's likely to go on for about 4 days. Now, this does mean, of course, that the battalion will be very committed to rehearsals and preparations for 2 weeks beforehand.
Okay, right, got a note of that. We'll make an addition to the forecast of events showing that your Colonel's going to be visiting from the 11th to the 14th of May. And annotate the remarks column to show that preparations will be taking place from the 26th of April.
Yes, thanks for that. At the risk of seeming ungrateful, though, would it be possible for someone else to organise the Brigade Athletics meeting on the 14th of April? Organising 2 large-scale events in 2 months is putting a bit of a strain on the system.
Okay, good point. Any volunteers? Ivan, what about your battalion taking that one on?
Well, I suppose we could, but as you know, we've got 2 companies away at Castle Martin with 2 RTR until the 10th of April, so it doesn't really give us very much time.
Does the athletics need to be held then?
I think it must, unfortunately. The stadium's booked and all that sort of stuff. It's going to be too much of a nose to change it now. Maybe you won the thing last year.
We did, of course, quite convincingly, if I remember rightly.
I'm afraid we're up at Lark Hill till the 10th of April too, and the CO would not be keen to take on any commitments at this stage.
Yeah, if it wasn't for exercise, Arcade Fusion Brigade Headquarters could probably do it, but I don't think that's going to be possible either, especially with the new divisional commander breathing down the Brigadier's neck.
Well, okay, we'll do it. Always happy to help out, but I'll expect an invitation to your next mess function, Roger.
Good, that's that then. 1SL to organise the Brigade Athletics meeting on the 14th of April. Anything else?
Yes, can you include our rifle meeting in the forecast? We've booked Ash Rangers from the 15th to the 17th of March, and we're intending to run an inter-unit falling plate competition on that last day. We'll be sending out details by the end of February.
Okay, good, got that. I expect Brigade Headquarters will probably enter a team as well. Anything else?
Yeah, I think the commander wanted to visit us on, I think it's the 16th of November. I gather the Colonel spoke to you yesterday to let you know he was unhappy about that date.
Yes, he did, although I think he might have given us a little bit more warning over that one, frankly. Anyway, we need to identify an alternative date. The simplest solution would seem to be a change either with 2 RTR or 1SL.
Okay, we can swap with them. We were on second.
Good, thanks for that, Dudley. So 48 Regiment staff visit will now be on the 2nd of November and 2 RTR on the 16th. Any more points? Good. Mr. Alexander will publish all those changes in due course. Now, moving on to the visit of the Norwegian Staff College. Now, as you know, we've got 12 Norwegian officers visiting us from the 6th to the 9th of April. The aim of their visit is to observe the equipment and training of a typical armoured brigade, and we need to identify now exactly what it is that we're going to show them during their stay and also where they're going to be accommodated. The details I got so far are in fact pretty sketchy. They arrive at this headquarters at 11 on the 6th in their own coach. They must leave the brigade area by 8 o'clock on the morning of the 9th because they've got to check into London Heathrow by 11 o'clock. Now, my plan is that they should start off at the headquarters at 11:15 with a general briefing on the role and equipment of the typical armoured brigade prior to going and looking at the headquarters command vehicles. By the way, Mr. Alexander, I've spoken to the OC of the Signal Squad and he's expecting a copy of these minutes. If you can make a note of that, thanks. Now, after that, we're going to give them lunch and send them on their way about 1400. But first of all, we're going to need to try and find some volunteers to accommodate these guys. Any takers?
Well, we'll have 2 companies away on Salisbury Plain training area at that time, so there'll be plenty of room in our mess. 1 or 2 might have to double up, but I shouldn't think that'll be a problem.
Okay.
This is the State 1 South Loamshires then, sir.
That's correct, Mr. Alexander, thanks. Now, Ivan, are you happy to show them round the rest of the equipment you have left in the barracks that afternoon?
Yeah, I should think so. We'll have a company in barracks and support weapons and so on. Also let them dry the wagons and any other vehicles that we've got available. Probably lay on some entertainment for them in the evening.
That sounds excellent. Good. Thanks very much. Now, Roger, I gather 1 D&D are holding support weapons concentration at Warminster during that time. Can you look after them for me on the 7th?
Yes, that'll be fine. It's not too far from Tidworth, and since you take them out, then we won't expect them too early in the morning. We'll be firing 81mm mortars and 94mm law, so I'll make sure they get to see a bit of everything. Now, we'll be able to give them soup and drinks and so on, but can you get them to bring a packed lunch?
Yeah, it makes sense. So they'll spend the 7th with you and we'll go back to Tidworth to 1SL that night. Dudley, I thought they might go to SBTA on the 8th and take part in your battle group training. How does that sound?
Yeah, we can take them. It's a bit too early to say exactly what we'll do with them, but we'll certainly try and give them something interesting to take part in. So we'll probably split them up amongst the squadrons. Do you happen to know whether they speak English?
Oh, I should think so, yeah. Yeah, Norwegians normally do, I think.
Sorry, sir, there was quite a lot to take down there. Just to confirm, they arrive at brigade headquarters at 1100 hours on the 6th of April and will be given a briefing and tour of the headquarters command vehicles at 11:15 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They will then have lunch and depart for the South Loamshires at 1400, arrive with the South Loamshires at 1430, who will occupy them for the afternoon. Accommodation is for 12 officers and the driver for the night, and then on the 7th of April they watch 1 Devon and Dorset support weapons firing at Warminster Ranges before returning to Tidworth again for the night. The party will then leave Tidworth at 8 o'clock the following morning for London Heathrow.
Good, thank you very much, Mr. Alexander. Are you all agreed on that? Any problems?
Yep.
Good, thank you. Now, let's turn to the next item on the agenda, which is the firepower demonstration on the 2nd of June. Now, it's not on your forecast of events, but we will include it as an amendment, Mr. Alexander, if you could make a note of that. Thanks. Now, just to put you in the picture, we've been detailed to lay on a firepower demonstration for the benefit of about 200 NATO officers. And the aim is to show the firepower available to a battle group, which in this case will consist of 2 squadrons of tanks and 2 companies of infantry, together with mortar and Milan platoons. We also have a battery from 48 Regiment R8 taking part. We've been allocated B range at Warminster for the demonstration and any rehearsals that we may need. The whole thing is to last for 1 hour. Now, obviously, it's going to take a lot of detailed staff work to coordinate it all properly, but we will do all of that. What we need now is to identify who is available to take part and when we ought to schedule the rehearsals for.
Well, we're all up at Sennybridge at that time, and we'll have a B squadron of 2 RTR with us, so unfortunately we can't really help out.
Yeah, I realise that. My initial plot was that the South Loamshires should provide the 2 companies and the support platoons, and 2 RTR will provide the squadron. How does that appeal to you all?
Well, I suppose we could, but we've got rather a lot of people adventure training in May, but we'll probably manage.
Yeah, it sounds workable. I'm sure we'll be able to cover it. What's the score with ammunition, though?
Hang on, Dudley, let me deal with 1SL first. I'll ensure there are no rehearsals before 25th of May at the earliest. Have you got? How does that sort of suit
Fine,
you guys?
no,
Ivan?
that's a problem.
You happy with that? Okay, good. Now, Dudley, sorry. I've been working on the ammunition problem. TIF headquarters will allow us 400 rounds of 120mm hash, 400 rounds of 120mm discarding sabot training, and 540 rounds of 81mm mortar, although that includes rehearsals.
I'm pretty sure that we can't fire DST on B range.
No,
So
right.
if we want DST, we're going to have to use the firepower range at Warminster.
Yeah, thanks. That's a good point. I'll get Div to fix it. Now, as I was saying, ammunition. There are no restrictions on 94mm law or 5.56mm. We can have as much as we want. I've been unable to get any Milan missiles. Diver suggests that the anti-tank platoon of 1SL might like to come back from their firing with some in February. What do you think of that, Ivan?
Well, hang on a minute. I don't know about that. It would be far better if Div HQ were able to negotiate the missile allocation for us. We'll need a total of at least 4. That'll be 2 for the rehearsals and then 2 for the actual demonstration. And I think you'll have to get them to fix it.
Okay, right. Well, we'll take that one on and let you know. Now, rehearsals. We all agree we're going to need 2 rehearsals and a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, that sounds fine. If all goes well, first rehearsal, we could cancel the second and go straight on to the dress.
Good, okay, that's agreed. Now, dates. I'd like the first rehearsal on the 25th of May, followed by the second rehearsal, if necessary, on the 29th of May, and we'll hold the dress rehearsal the day before the actual event, i.e. on the 1st of June. Are you all happy with that? Yeah, happy? Good, okay, right, well, that's settled then. Please could you, Dudley and Ivan, let me know which squadrons and companies are to take part. I imagine you'll need to discuss it with your COs first, but I'd be grateful for the details if you could by the 28th of this month. Now, Mr. Alexander, don't forget to amend the forecast of events, and you better send 48 Regiment RA a copy of the minutes. They'll be interested in who's taking part in the demonstration. Let's go on now, gentlemen, if you could please, to exercise Swift Arrow. For those of you who haven't heard about it, Div are sponsoring an exercise for all the anti-tank platoons in the division to study the tactical deployment of Milan to counter mass tank attacks under various different conditions. Now, it's scheduled to take place in the Salisbury Plain training area between the 13th and the 16th of April. Now, I know it's very short notice. We've been asked to provide 2 tank squadrons and a small headquarters to represent the Gen 4 tank battalion. It's to be commanded by a squadron leader with at least 1 year's experience in Germany. Now, I know that this is a busy period, so I'm not anticipating any volunteers.
Yeah, well, the date clashes with a battlefield tour that one of our squadrons have to France. But I suppose we possibly could use a squadron, but it would leave us pretty thin on the ground.
Okay. All right, then, so 2 RTR provide 1 squadron, and I'll get back to Div headquarters about providing the other squadron and the headquarters element. Good, thanks. That's all I've got. Has anybody else got any points they want to make?
Yes, if I could just throw something in there. Our adventures training in Bavaria from the 4th to the 21st of May is just about fixed up. It's an A company event, and including climbing, a bit of canoeing and some hill walking. However, the rules for adventurous training are so strict now that we'll begin to wonder if we've got enough qualified leaders for all these things. And I was just wondering if there was anyone else in the garrison who could lend us some qualified leaders. Any rank, as long as they're qualified, and I'm sure they'll have a good time.
Well, we've got 2 good rock climbers and a PTI who's a pretty keen canoeist. So I'm not sure, the only thing is whether they're available or not. But I'll find out for you, Ivan.
Yeah, I'm sure we've got some too. Can I let you know?
Gentlemen, can I ask you to sort that out directly with Ivan? If you've got any volunteers who are willing to go and obviously you're prepared to release them when they're qualified, then deal direct with South Lounges. Mr. Alexander, can you also make a note to include that request in brigade routine orders? Gentlemen, any other points? No? Good. Well, thank you very much. Let's go and grab a coffee.
Painless?
Yeah. So this five-hour demonstration going to work out then, Dudley, you think?
Well, I hope so. I think if we get that range, we'll be all right. Good luck, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you. That concludes the meeting, but before you go, a few points. All items discussed at the meeting are classified restricted. After returning to the office and whilst drafting the minutes, the Chief of Staff popped in with 2 points. First, the firepower range is booked at Warminster, so DST can be fired. Second, Div headquarters will get back to the Chief of Staff about Milan missiles.
إن القانون يعامل المجرمين